3 months before he was born, his father passed away. When he grew older, he came to realize that there was a special call from God who had reserved him for the Lord. Even before his birth, both his grandmother and his aunt, who is a Franciscan sister, had much influence on his faith by their pious Christian living and devotion to Mother Mary. That inspiration had sown the seed of priestly vocation in his young heart. At the age of 12, he joined the junior seminary of the vicariate in Laoheko. His life in seminary was affected by World War II. They only had porridge with little vegetables. Eventually, the seminary had to close down due to shortage of food. All of them, seminarians, were sent home until World War II ended. During the long journey of 5 days of walking, his mother told him, "Son, if you want to be a priest, be one, but persevere." That was the last thing his mother told him, and he took it as her last will for him. He was one of the 5 among 26 who remained and was suitable for the major seminary in Hankou. They went for a week on a cargo boat with 10 fat pigs to reach Hankou. Soon after the war, communist forces rose in power. People started moving from north to south. The seminary sent all 80 students and 5 professors to Hong Kong and Macau. 80 of them, with 5 professors, were given an old school building to be their seminary. Though with minimum facilities, the studies and formation were great and wonderful. All his classmates were then ordained priests on August 15th. Bishop John Voss of Kuching requested that one be sent and ordained by him in Kuching, and their rector, Father Thomas Uitenbroek, chose him to be that one. He had no relatives, no friends when he arrived in Kuching. The local languages, culture, and customs were all unfamiliar to him. After arrival, he had a simple conversation with Bishop John Voss in Latin. He was informed to prepare himself for the ordination on 26th of September. He was the first priest ordained in Sarawak. The church was full long before the Mass as people were curious and wanted to see how a priest is ordained. It was the happiest day for him, despite the absence of family members. After the ordination, he was sent to Bau to visit around 20 Chinese Catholic families for a few weeks. This was the time that he started learning Hakka. After that, he visited the gardeners and farmers in Miri. There were about a few thousand Catholics, most of whom were employees of the Shell Oil Company. In Serike, he learned Fucha for 6 months to be able to communicate. To learn Hakka only took him 2 weeks. In Cebu Outstation, the Iban Catholics were devout and very hospitable to him. Back to Miri, he was forced to study English in order to teach catechism to primary students in St. Joseph's School. It took 4 or more hours to Nia in those days. He was the first priest to visit a few Catholic families there. The only thing they remembered was that they were Catholics. To answer a need of the local church, he studied doctorate in canon law, where he got a magna cum laude approval for his thesis and was awarded the degree of Doctor Probates of Canon Law in 1966. He started to plan a simple program for 21 students, ranging from Form 2 to 4, when he took over the seminary. Among them were 2 ordained priests. He had been appointed by Pope Paul VI to be Bishop Coadjutor of Bishop James Bui, with the right to succeed him at his retirement as the Vicar Apostolic of Kota, Kinabalu. During the ordination, though his heart was full of devotion and peace, he felt painfully the absence of his family. It was for him a great honor and privilege to be called and ordained a bishop, but at the same time, he felt a heavy responsibility was being placed on his shoulders. At that time, both local clergy and the Chief Minister of Sabah were not happy about his appointment. The government refused to give him a residence permit in Sabah. He was given a 2-week visit pass only, and then later a 1-month visa. He took a morning flight to KK till the last day and returned to Brunei in the evening. The following day, he continued to take the morning flight again. Throughout his 5-year service, he visited Sabah every 2 weeks to carry out his episcopal duties as often as he could. The faith of Sabah grew stronger under the persecution of the then Chief Minister, Tun Datuk Mustafa of Sabah. Goodbye, Sabah. Welcome back to Kuching. In February 1975, the Holy See assigned him to serve as the Apostolic Vicar back in Kuching. Although he and the Sabahan Catholic community, both clergy and laity, felt sad with his decision, he obeyed. With a heavy heart, he left the people he had served with love. He received a grand welcome at the Kuching airport. Sarawak is his second home. The official installation was on the same day he arrived. It was held in St. Joseph's Cathedral at 7:30 p.m. Pope Paul VI established the Archdiocese of Kuching, Diocese of Emeriti, and Diocese of Kota Kinabalu. The missionary phase in Borneo, which started in 1881, came to an end. With this new setup in the hierarchy, the leadership and responsibility were handed to the local clergy. On November 26, 1976, at St. Joseph's Cathedral, he was installed as the first Archbishop of Kuching. He developed a coat of arms with symbols of significance to him. When he became the Archbishop, he had this great desire that the Holy Spirit would use him to bring God's grace to all. The following year, he issued his first pastoral letter. He wrote it in 2 parts. The local church had to take up the responsibility of providing local priests and had to empower the laity to play their role in the life of the church. He foresaw that many of our students from Sarawak might not be qualified to enroll into College General in Penang, as the college has decided that students must pass the English exam prior to admission. After discerning the needs of the local church, he had the soft opening of St. Peter's College in Kuching as a Diocesan Majors Seminary. In 1981, after he met with Cardinal Rossi, explaining to him his reasons, the authority recognized St. Peter's College as a major seminary. Thus, the college officially opened on 21st July 1986. He had discussed with the apostolic delegate to divide the archdiocese into 2, since the region was too large for effective pastoral care. The suggestion was taken after 3 years. He was offered the State Award of Panglima Negara Bintang Sarawak with the title Dato' by the Chief Minister, in conjunction with the birthday of the Governor of Sarawak. Initially, he was reluctant to accept, but after realizing that it was in recognition of the Church's contributions to the state, instead of his contributions, he decided to accept it. He requested for an auxiliary bishop to assist him. A few years after, he received the great news that Father John Ha had been appointed by Pope John Paul II as one. In celebration of the Silver Jubilee of the Archdiocese, he set this theme, "We are the Church." Study days were organized for both clergy and laity. Together, they looked into his first pastoral letter. In the Archdiocese Convention, a total of 101 proposals from parish leaders were forwarded to help him frame the vision and mission of the Archdiocese for the new millennium. Before his retirement, he studied the proposals from the Archdiocesan Convention and wrote his second pastoral letter. He presented a way forward for the local church. This has become an important handbook for the Archdiocese in its life and mission as it marched into the new millennium. His retirement was approved by the Pope, and he passed on the office to Archbishop John Ha, the first local-born bishop. He then moved to the Lay Formation Center in St. Peter's College, where he enjoyed his life with the seminarians. joining them in daily masses and prayers. Later on, he moved to the home for retired priests in Stutong. In his years of retirement, he has kept a disciplined life with his daily routine of prayer, work, reading, meals, and exercise. As he had little time for himself during his years of service, the Lord has been so gracious in granting him years of retirement, so that now he would have more time for God and for himself. Many friends have asked him the secret to a long life and good health. Very probably, the holy words of the Apostle Paul have been the secret that kept him so. These holy words have encouraged him to persevere in his long years of ministries as priest and bishop, all for the service of the Lord and His people.